With the mission to keep as many men on as many guns for as long as possible, we called him Doc. Welcome to Combat Vet Vision. And now your host, Aaron Chief Seabird.
Hey, how's it going? Welcome to Combat Vet Vision. This is a place where, our combat vets, our vets, sponsors, supporters, volunteers get to come in here and tell their story, talk about why they're doing what they're doing, to help our vets or veterans that are telling their story, what they're doing in their lives, how their lives have been affected by combat, and where they're steering their lives now. That whether it's it can be super positive, it can be super negative, it can have a lot of in-betweens, and a lot of tension, a lot of different life experiences that put somebody's mind in different directions. But whatever it is, it's important that we get to talk about things. I got Mike DeLeon, a good buddy of my friend, a good buddy of mine, on deck today. Recon chief. He's here to talk about a lot of things that him and I talk about a lot. Support and help for our veterans in general. And he's got a nonprofit that he's working on. He's got a lot of different things that he's doing, that he's been involved in, programs that he's actually taken advantage of, and that he's very heavily involved in the community, as well as supporting, the Chiefs mess, to the chief selectees that are getting selected every year and going through that process to all these other nonprofit organizations. And on, like I always say, I kind of focus on the PTSD Foundation of America or Warrior Built Foundation. Both those organizations, incredible. One's peer-to-peer support for our combat vets, and I run a warrior group on Tuesday nights for the PTSD Foundation. Then Warrior Built does vocational recreational support. So, Mike, how you doing? Good to see you.
Hey, Mike DeLeon here. What's going on?
Hey, let's talk about you a little bit, man. Talk about, and this is the third time I've had Mike on, just so you know, you can look back at the story, so he doesn't have to focus too much on it. But let's focus a little bit on you, why you joined the Navy, some of those things that really kind of inspired you to do the things that you did in the Navy, and then you got out. Obviously, have been heavily involved in a lot of incredible things, job opportunities, to films, to there's a whole bunch. We'll get into it.
Awesome. I was in the Navy, 24 years, retired as a chief petty officer, and that was a great time. Last command was in Japan. And, basically what it led to was, as I was getting out, everybody has like their little exit programs that they go through, like TAP, transition assistance, and, all branches of the military have their programs. And I realized, like, coming out of that 1 week crash course, how to be a civilian, wasn't really checking out with me. And so, I decided to get into nonprofits and visit different organizations and whatnot. And then I found, the Warrior Built through a couple friends of mine, and then I met Aaron. And then eventually that led to me wanting to start my own nonprofit, which my girlfriend kind of pushed me into doing, and she was like, you got to do this because, you're passionate, and desire for helping other people was there. And, she could see it in my heart and mind and soul. And I'm like, yeah, I think I should. But without her, I don't think I would have done it on my own. I think I would have just been connected to just a whole bunch of nonprofits. And so, long story short, I'm connected to a whole bunch of nonprofits. And that's how it really got started. And back in 2021, I launched my nonprofit called Recon Chief Incorporated, which it's kind of odd to have an ink on a lot of nonprofit organizations, especially veteran-owned. But because I'm just so connected with what our platform is, which is a racing platform similar to the Warrior Built, but we do stuff with cars, and it's basically, we bring in the veterans, we have cars, we build the cars, and we race them on the track, and same thing. It's like a therapeutic process where, veterans have challenges, they join teams, and then they build camaraderie, they build the car, and then they build their way up to qualifying how they'll be able to race these cars on the track. And to me, and to a lot of veterans, that are like-minded, that's therapeutic. And that's pretty much what we do. aside from that, I do a lot of stuff with production and film. I was involved in some military movie called Tenet back in 2019, and met a whole bunch of veterans that were recruited by an organization called Veterans in Media and Entertainment, VME. And VME houses like over 10,000 veterans that are in the movie industry. And so when I got recruited to do this film with Christopher Nolan, producer Christopher Nolan for Tenet, of course, this was a huge networking opportunity for me. And on top of that, people had recruited me to become a producer in their company, and so I ended up joining Veteran Powered Films. At that point, I became more of an associate producer, where I would help them, with all like logistics and filming and setup and set dress and stuff like that. And then in doing that, I met a lot of celebrities, some big time, some not so big time, and some up and coming. And the cool thing about that is they're all plugged into the bigger picture of Hollywood, even though they're veterans. And I basically ended up building relationships. And now I'm really good friends with a bunch of different celebrities that I don't really publicize, because it's, for the nature of, movies and celebrities, they don't like that kind of stuff. But I'm more than happy to talk about that if anyone's interested. Yeah.
No, thanks a lot, man. Obviously there's a lot involved in that veteran powered film stuff and some of the film stuff that you've been involved in, to include a movie, we talked about it in the past, that is still in post production, Carry My Load. It's coming out at some point, but it's all about a brother that lost a brother and carried his pack, as what it weighed. If you want to talk about that a little bit, feel free to do that for a minute. And then, talk about, obviously, this program that you're in right now. You're actually on Camp Pendleton, living in base housing. Veterans may want to know, hey, how do I move on to base? When you're in, it seems like you want to live off base, but with the prices as they are, we'll get into that. So just talk about those two items, and we'll get into some more too.
Right. So basically, since I got out of the military, I've living on civilian ground, as you can say. But recently, this year in April, Camp Pendleton, people probably know it as Lincoln Military Housing, but they lost their contract, and then a new company called Liberty Military Housing took over the job of providing housing for military on base and off base. But they had this bright idea to open up military base housing, like literally on the base, to veterans, and also I found out DOD personnel too. So civilian DOD contractors can also live on base. That advantage to them would mean that they can fill all their homes and always have people living and take advantage and monetize and whatever they do, right? And so when I found out about it in April, I was pretty much one of the first ones to apply for it. And the process of getting into a house is pretty long if you're renting anywhere out in town. But here it took me literally 3 days, and they're like, okay, you're ready to move in. And I'm like, what? It literally, I applied, and 3 days later, like, you're approved, move in. So I was like, okay, this is crazy. I wasn't really ready for that, but I was like, okay, I guess we're moving in. So I moved in, and the cool thing about this whole application process was it only takes one military, aka retired veteran or whatnot, ID card to get this place, and you can move in civilians that are not even in the military. So say your cousins, your brother, they're not even active duty or never was served, but they can live with you and be on the lease on the base, and the base gives them an ID card to get on base, and they're like 100% civilian, never even served. So 90% of my household is civilian. None of them have served. I'm the only one that served. So the ID card allows them on base access, allows them to go to the NEX or the MCX or gas, and So it's like they're in the military, but they're not. So that's the cool benefit you get when you get to move in with your own family, and if you're single, your girlfriend or whatnot, right? That's not military. And the price is just like in the military. They would take your BAH, or if you're not active duty, you pay the mortgage or the rent, and you don't pay electric, you don't pay gas, you don't pay sewage and trash and all that. So it's just like in the military. You don't pay no utilities. You just pay a solid, standard pay. And I have a 4-bedroom home or a 5-bedroom home, and I'm living like pretty much a mile away from the beach, and I'm paying a couple thousand less than what a civilian would pay out in town by the beach. So you can't I couldn't say no to that. So I'm like, this is a pretty good deal. And I have top-notch security, obviously. When my insurance company was like, hey, what kind of security system do you have for your car? I'm like, armed guards. They were like, they didn't know what to say. Like, I got like a whole bunch of people with M16s that protect my car. And they were like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I live on base. And they're like, oh. So security and safety was one of my concerns as well, considering all the things that are happening in this world, and all these wars and terrorist attacks and stuff. I was like, you know what, living on base, this is it right here. This is where you need to be. If things are going to go down, I'm in the right place.
There you go. Hey, talk a little bit about Carry My Load.
Carry the weight.
Carry the weight.
John Preston, he's a Sonar recording artist, a veteran Marine. Him and his brother were serving in the military, and then they served for the police department, and John Preston serves for the fire department. And so his brother ended up taking his life due to mental issues and depression, and he wanted to do a hike for his brother in commemorating his brother's life. And he hiked from Palo Alto, which is up in San Francisco, all the way down to the USS Midway in San Diego. And so it was a veteran hike, and thousands of people joined the hike on the way down PCH, down the 101, pretty much on foot. At the time, I was part of the filming company that filmed the documentary, and I had the film truck, and I race cars, but I'm behind this guy for 625 miles at like 2 miles per hour. Okay, I was getting depressed driving. I'm like, oh my god. But anyway, we successfully finished the hike, and the post production happened, and in the movie industry, post production can take 6 months. It could take a year. It could take a week. It depends who's involved and how much money you have to do the post production. So right now they're already doing part 2 on the East Coast. They just recently started their hike on the East Coast. It's called Carry the Weight. But the original one was called 22 and U. So he did that hike, and then since that hike was done, I started joining other nonprofits that were doing hikes like that, like this new one called Irreverent Warriors. They've been around for, I don't know, about 3-4 years maybe, and we did a big hike on this past Sunday, like 1,000 people easily, in Oceanside, and they go all over America. So they've been trekking along the states in the South, and now they're in California, and next month they'll be in Huntington Beach. There's going to be a big one happening out there. So, for veterans that need a place, like an outlet, a safety net, or whatever you want to call it, joining a nonprofit is awesome, because it's like an automatic, instant camaraderie type of environment when you go there. I have my own nonprofit, but I support other nonprofits. If someone's going to have a hike and I'm not doing nothing that weekend with my nonprofit, I'm going to go and hang out and do their stuff. And that's the cool thing about veteran nonprofits. To me, all veteran nonprofits kind of like back each other up all the time. Vice non-veteran nonprofits, they're in it for their own little cases and missions, and it's not likely that non-veteran nonprofits back each other up all the time and support each other like 100%. That's why I love this space, the nonprofit space with the veteran, portion. It's like we all back each other 100% up and down the chain, and that's what inspired me to actually launch mine, because I'm like, I'm not alone. There's hundreds of veterans that are willing to like do what I do, and so it's like a no-brainer. It's like, hey, I post one thing, we're gonna do this car show or we're gonna do a race. I can't tell you how many people would be involved. There's hundreds of people who would be like, I'm in. It's like an automatic thing. So that's what's cool about this veteran nonprofit industry is popping right now. It's pretty big.
Yeah, and I know it's really cool that you're involved in. I know you support the Warrior Build effort, the PTSD Foundation effort. You've talked to all these different nonprofits, irrelevant warriors. Not only that, but you're heavily involved in September's events of promoting the United States Navy's chiefs in San Diego area. And so you get down there, you still do a whole bunch of things.
Yeah.
You hike with them, work with them. Chiefs Week is a huge deal. And speaking of Chiefs, just so everybody knows, welcome to the Chiefs Mess. This is a very unique situation. You get two chiefs or more talking at the same time. It's a Chiefs Mess. So for those that are watching, welcome to the Chiefs Mess. It's not very often that you get to be part of it, but you are today. So welcome to that. But Mike and I talk about a lot of things in the background, but it's really cool to watch what he does, and I try to promote a lot of it. I share a lot of his stuff, and talk about that. Talk about how that's a huge involvement piece.
When I first made chief, I took it to the heart, man, because my dad was in the military. He did 20 years. He did 20 more years with the VA, and then he passed away before I made chief. I was getting ready to make chief. Passed away, and I was like, dang. My dad couldn't help pin me, so my daughter pinned me. But long story short, I retired, and I took it to the heart, being part of the Chiefs organization. And not a lot of retired Chiefs do this, but I wanted to continue building Chiefs. So, it was very easy. I just asked my friends, hey, where is the Chief initiation happening? And I went to it one day, and I found this company. I found out, I didn't even know this, but in San Diego, the Enlisted Leadership Foundation, which is a nonprofit, is in charge of CPO Pride Day. And CPO Pride Day is where all the chiefs go and, do their skits and see who's the best skit making chief mess in the county, and somebody wins eventually. But it's a big convention, a big, booth heavy event that lasts all day long. And I pop up my booth there every year. And so I initiate these chiefs and sign their charge books or whatnot, and then I'm heavily involved throughout the season every year. And on final night, I help mold the rest of their training and their mind and get them ready to get pinned. And so that alone, aside from being in nonprofit world in space, that alone right there is my closure, my security, my safety net, my camaraderie space that I go to continue being sane in this world and to continue enjoying like life in general. And that was like my go-to like place for safety. Safety net, my mindset and everything, and the nonprofit helping people. That's like my main safety net for like everybody else, and so I enjoy
Yeah,
it.
this is 7 years after retirement, still involved in so many active duty military stuff. Seeing the Chiefs get to that ceremony and finishing that night.
The cool thing about it is that I've been doing it for so many years that when I go to the Chiefs CPO day, like they see me coming, man. They that's Recon Chief. I'm known as the Recon Chief. They know, like they see Recon Chief. Oh, you know how it goes. I'm like, oh, here we go. Not that I'm like Admiral Special or anything, but they see my hat, they see my company, they see my flag coming in. They're like, oh, here comes Recon Chief. And so during the final night, if someone messes up, they're like, oh, you need to go see Recon Chief. They're like, ah, you know. because being on the Marine base, it goes with the flow, man. The first medical battalion is what I did this season with this year, and Recon chief, and they put two and two together in their head. They think I'm like mean or something. I'm like, no, we're good. But the Marines, there's sometimes the Marines, like the gunnies, they make E7, and then they join the whole initiation process. And this year there was a gunny that was, he just made E7, considered the chief, right? He saw my hat. He goes, he was like not talking to me. I'm like, what's going on here? So long story short, it's intimidating, but then when they get to know me, they know I'm all about business, all about training, all about camaraderie, and let's get this going.
Yeah, that's a huge important thing. It's not about help anymore as much as it is about camaraderie. And I talk to all my veterans about this, all the guys that I'm working with. A lot of guys are like, I don't want help. I don't need help. But we all love camaraderie. And, that's something that you can't get away from. So, we use a lot of weird terms that go through it. And, speaking of that, let's talk about the Master Chief movie that just came out. Part 2, you're going to be involved in a little bit, or you're in the works for it. So
anyone, I think you can go to the masterchiefmovie.net. So maybe you can plug it in there in the chat box, the masterchiefmovie.net. And then, or you can just look up Chris Soriano. He's the director and producer of the Master Chief movie. And so what he did was he got a hold of some old salty chiefs and stuff, and they created this cool movie about the Filipino mafia. I'm not supposed to say that in public, but I did, or whatever. So anyway,
they said in the movie. They say it in the
movie. The Filipino mafia used to be like a secrecy thing, but it is down. It's comedic, and the movie, means well. It might not be great, but it's going to be at least good. But I reached out to the producer, and the directors, and we kind of like, brainstormed about part 2, because this one's called that part 1, and it's a bunch of crazy things that happens on the ship and whatnot. And so part 2, I wanted to gear more towards like overseas stuff. So I got a bunch of friends that owns like houses that they've converted their garages into like full blown like chief's mess, like you see in Japan and other countries. And I'm actually connected like real retired master chiefs. And in part 1, a lot of them were like actors. So I told the producers, I'm like, I'll bring you the real deal. And so they were like, thumbs up, and now they're looking for talent, and they're looking for film locations, and so hopefully when we have this meeting, they check out with us, and they're like, yeah, we like the locations. And that's going to be located, the scouting for part 2 is going to happen like in Temecula, Murrieta, like Elsinore, which is kind of close by the border. So I did that on purpose so that I can get everybody involved in the whole process of getting scouted, I guess you can say, and utilized for either film locations or talent. And then we can bring them the story instead of having to script everything out. Like, we'll just tell you how it is, and why I think that's a better idea is because when we filmed Tenet with Christopher Nolan, he hired veterans on purpose. Okay, because to train 300 actors and background artists to like run like the military and shoot like the military and look like the military and act and feel and whatever like the military, wear your uniform like the military, would cost him millions of dollars. To hire a bunch of veterans and go, hey, run that way like you're being chased by helicopters. Okay, and we run and we look exactly how it's supposed to look without even being trained. So Christopher Nolan's a smart man. He knows how to do it. And so, I took that and I introduced it to these producers. I'm like, you know what? We're the real deal. You don't got to train. You don't got to script nothing. We're going to just do it. Because that's
exactly. Hey, we're going to take a quick break. Do the PSA from the VA. The VA sponsors and supports my my show, Combat Vet Vision, along with sitchradio.com. This is at sitchradio.com coming to you live. So appreciate it. We'll take a quick break.
Okay, you can come. I'm on break. I'm on break.
Hey, Brian, I don't hear anything.
Find their identity and purpose as they face past and present challenges. Their programs allow veterans to overcome physical and emotional boundaries, push through adversity, and step up to serve others. Their hiking experiences have changed thousands of lives for the better. No Barriers will soon be taking applications for its 2023 North Carolina expeditions. Email Marlene at nobarriersusa.org. That's Marlene at nobarriersusa.org. I'm Mike Richmond.
Hey, thanks. Hey, we're back with Recon Chief Mike DeLeon. He does a lot of things in the nonprofit world, as well as a lot of great things with the Chiefs community. Hey, Mike, is there anything that we haven't covered that we need to work on, or any last words on your part? And if somebody wants to get a hold of you, make sure you pass that information. They can always do it through my show, through me. I'll definitely get you in touch with Michael DeLeon. So,
Yeah. Last words. All I can say is I'm pretty much coming to the end of my build out for future, endeavors with my nonprofit, and I'm planning to do a big, huge veteran facility that I'm waiting on funding for and approval and whatnot. And the facility is really, really focused on not just the camaraderie portion, not just the fellowship and brotherhood, but it's really focused on recirculating the veterans' mentality, the mindset of being around the people who you trust, working with people who knows will work, as strong and fast and quickly and as smartly as you, and focusing around the racing industry, car industry. My facility is going to incorporate training rooms, sim race modules, car storage, a training room for conferences, um, and whatnot. And it's just a huge facility for veterans, basically. I don't know if anyone remembers what the auto hobby shops look like, but all the veterans would bring their cars on the base and do their car thing and show off. And cool thing is, auto hobby skills shops on bases is like a fun place to go if you love cars, even though you're just changing your oil, but you get to see everybody's like race car up on the lift, and everybody talks story all the time. And so I wanted to create that, but not on base, off base, and make it bigger and make it more fluid with cars, people, enthusiasts, training, little racing center and stuff like that. So it's really going to be a one of those one of a kind, one off, like, okay, this is where you go. It's gonna, Recon Chief has this huge facility. If you love cars, you would love people, this is where to go. And so this is going to be a hit, hopefully. And I pitched this one thing to many people, and everyone is all about like, this is it. This is what it's going to be. That's where it's going to be for the veteran. So yeah, it'll be located right in the heart of San Diego.
Hey, and that's good, man. There's a lot of things that have to happen for this to take place and everything. And I know you have a lot of great plans, and I definitely hope that it finds its funding. I got Semper Fixit on deck, and Angel Figueroa. They're all excited about it. And Semper Fixit, he drives around fixing the guys. He's been on my show, fixing guys' cars on the road. So if your car breaks down, he definitely cuts the veterans a really incredible deal.
Yep.
But he's all about ready to help you out too. He just states in here, he's like, I'd love to help however he can. So it's great that we got support like that. I got 3 people watching live on this, so to see that support still just exists, and within those numbers, it's totally great. You got Angel saying make it on Route 66 so she could get out on there and do it because she's all the way in Texas and stuff.
When this facility does get built, I'm going to open up the office spaces to other nonprofits, and Semper Fix-It is one of my I'm going to call them
things in your mind.
Make office up here. We're going to need his help because some people are going to come in with some broken cars and they're going to love his help,
Yeah. And I know you got, I know you got some plans for like the PTSD Foundation to be on deck. Obviously my podcast and some other podcasts being incorporated in this and really kind of bringing the veteran stuff up to par. To include, I do this once a week, but I know you're talking about spinning that up. So I mean, there's a lot of really cool opportunities that come. There's a lot of people that bring these things but it takes a lot of effort and directions and stuff like that. So, Mike, I'm glad you're out there doing it. And I support you as much as I can. I'll have you on again in the future. I know you supply me with some really outstanding veterans that, are serving in the film industry. And, I had a couple of those guys on to include a lot of other people that, served our service. And, Master Chief that was on board for the USS Cole when it was hit. So some really great stories. So if you want to look back and see some podcasts, you can see Mike DeLeon. He's been on my show 3 times, and some of the guests that he's provided to me have been outstanding. So thanks a lot, brother. I appreciate you. And thanks for being in my corner. And again, to the audience, welcome to the Chief's Mess. When you have 2 or more Chiefs, you're in the Chief's Mess, and it's time for us to kind of talk, have this camaraderie. And you also get the mindset of both of us together. We really kind of form some really cool stuff and directions. So it's nice to work together with you, brother. Appreciate you. Strength and honor, brother. Hey, this is Aaron Siebert, retired Navy chief. Lucky to be alive after being hit with a mortar round April 2006. This is Combat Vet Vision, brought to you by Sitch Radio. Brian Colburn pushing all the buttons, making things happen. Pushed this out for me, made me kind of this podcaster in a way. But hey, I'm not a podcaster. I just play one in real life sometimes. So until next time, strength and honor out.
The only way together forever, that's for sure.